Ladies and gentlemen, we are creatures of nature and reason, and within us lies the complex interplay of instinct and intellect. Among these natural inclinations, the desire for intimacy, for connection, and for union is neither a flaw nor a weakness. It is an essential aspect of the human experience. But how we respond to this desire is what distinguishes wisdom from impulse, clarity from confusion. The Stoics teach us to examine our motivations, our actions, and the emotions that drive them. When we feel the call of intimacy, we must first pause and ask, what is the nature of this desire? Is it born of genuine connection, mutual respect, and shared understanding? Or does it arise from fleeting emotions, loneliness, restlessness, or a need for validation? The wise woman understands this distinction. When the need for connection arises, let it be guided by intention, not compulsion. To act from compulsion is to surrender your freedom to the whims of the moment. To act with intention is to reclaim your sovereignty. In every action, the question must be asked, does this align with my values? Does this honor my dignity, my worth, and my principles? If the answer is no, then the desire, though natural, must be tempered by reason. Stoicism reminds us that the only true control we possess lies within our thoughts, our choices, our will. The external circumstances of life, including the affections and desires of others, lie beyond our control. Therefore, the wise woman does not seek fulfillment solely in external acts, for these are transient and ever. Instead, she cultivates a sense of completeness within herself, knowing that no act of intimacy, no union with another, can replace the wholeness that resides in a disciplined and self-aware soul. To embrace intimacy wisely is to approach it with clarity and purpose. It is not to diminish the beauty of passion, but to ground it in respect and mutual benefit. It is to engage fully, yet without losing oneself. It is to give, yet without becoming empty. So, to every woman who stands at the crossroads of desire, I say this: reflect deeply. Ask yourself not only what you want, but why you want it. Choose not from fear or lack, but from strength and self-respect. In doing so, you transform a simple human act into an expression of wisdom, connection, and authenticity. The wise do not repress desire, nor are they ruled by it. They integrate it, shape it, and use it as a tool to strengthen bonds and deepen understanding, always remembering that the greatest power lies in their own hands, the power to choose. In the end, all actions are a reflection of character. Let your choices reflect the highest version of yourself, and in doing so you will find not only fulfillment, but also peace. Sure, here's an expanded discussion of self-awareness and reflection in the context of desire, grounded in Stoic wisdom. To live without self-awareness is to drift through life at the mercy of external forces, emotions, and fleeting impulses. Self-awareness, in its truest form, is the cornerstone of a purposeful life. It requires one to pause, to look inward, and to question the motivations behind their actions, especially in moments when desire arises. Desire, being one of the most potent human experiences, often speaks loudly and urgently. It demands satisfaction, whispers promises of fulfillment, and compels action. Yet the wise woman does not act upon it reflexively. She knows that to move without understanding the nature of her desire is to risk being led astray. Reflection begins with the willingness to confront oneself. It is a process of peeling back the layers of one's thoughts and emotions, examining each one without judgment but with honesty. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? These are not simple questions, nor are the answers always immediately apparent. Sometimes desire arises from a place of genuine connection, a longing for intimacy and understanding with another. Other times it is born of restlessness, insecurity, or even the desire to escape one's own solitude. To identify the root of desire is to uncover its truth, and only in truth can one find clarity. The unexamined desire can become a trap, an endless cycle of seeking and dissatisfaction. If one chases fulfillment in moments of passion without understanding the deeper yearning beneath it, the act becomes hollow. It may provide temporary satisfaction, but often leaves behind a lingering sense of emptiness. The wise woman understands this and resists the urge to act impulsively. Instead, she pauses, even when the pull of desire feels overwhelming. She knows that the momentary discomfort of restraint is far less costly than the regret of acting without thought. Self-awareness is not only about questioning the nature of desire, but also about examining one's relationship with it. Many people view desire as something to be indulged or suppressed, with little thought given to its role in their lives. Yet neither indulgence nor repression leads to mastery. The Stoics teach that mastery comes from balance, from understanding the role of desire within the broader framework of one's values and principles. It is not a question of whether desire is good or bad, but rather whether it aligns with the life one seeks to live. In moments of reflection, one might discover that the desire for intimacy is not truly about the other person, but about oneself. Perhaps it arises from a need to feel desired, valued, or worthy. This realization is not a cause for shame, but an opportunity for growth. To understand oneself at this level is to uncover the deeper truths that often go unspoken. Why do I seek this connection? What am I hoping to gain? What void am I trying to fill? These questions require courage, for the answers may reveal vulnerabilities one would rather avoid. But it is in this vulnerability that strength is found. The act of reflection also allows one to separate the physical from the emotional and spiritual. Physical desire, while natural, is often intertwined with emotional needs and expectations. The wise woman understands this interplay and seeks to disentangle it. She knows that fulfilling a physical desire does not necessarily address an emotional longing, and vice versa. This distinction is crucial, for it prevents confusion and the potential for misplaced expectation. By reflecting on what she truly seeks, she avoids the trap of expecting more from a moment of intimacy than it can provide. Reflection requires patience and stillness, qualities that are often at odds with the urgency of desire. The world moves quickly, and the demands of life can make it difficult to find the time and space for introspection. Yet the wise woman prioritizes this practice, knowing that it is the foundation of all meaningful action. She creates moments of quiet, where she can turn inward without distraction. In these moments, she listens to herself, not just to the surface thoughts, but to the deeper currents that flow beneath them. She becomes attuned to her inner voice, the one that often goes unheard amidst the noise of daily life. This process of listening is not passive but active. It requires one to challenge their assumptions and confront their fears. It is easy to justify desire, to convince oneself that acting on it is harmless or even necessary. But the wise woman does not settle for easy answers. She questions her justifications, probing for the underlying truths they may conceal. She is unafraid to confront her own contradictions, for she knows that growth comes from facing rather than avoiding them. In her reflection, the wise woman also considers the consequences of her actions, not just for herself but for others. She understands that every choice, no matter how personal, has ripple effects. Acting on desire without self-awareness can lead to misunderstandings, hurt feelings, or unintended commitments. By reflecting on her motivations and intentions, she ensures that her actions are aligned not only with her own values, but also with the respect and consideration she has for others. She does not act selfishly but thoughtfully, recognizing the interconnectedness of all relationships. This level of self-awareness requires discipline. It is not a one-time effort but a continuous practice. Desire does not arise once and then disappear. It ebbs and flows, returning in different forms and at different times. Each instance is an opportunity for reflection, a chance to deepen one's understanding of oneself. The wise woman embraces this process, knowing that it is through repetition and persistence that true mastery is achieved. Ultimately, self-awareness and reflection transform desire from a force that controls to one that can be directed and shaped. The wise woman does not fear her desires, nor does she seek to eliminate them. Instead, she engages with them consciously, using them as a tool for growth and connection. In doing so, she moves through life with a sense of purpose and balance, guided not by fleeting impulses but by the enduring wisdom of her inner self. To understand inner wholeness and sovereignty, one must first grasp the concept of being complete within oneself. It is the realization that, at the core of our being, we are not fragmented or lacking, but whole and sufficient. This understanding is not something that external achievements, relationships, or possessions can provide. Rather, it is an internal state that emerges when one recognizes their intrinsic value and embraces their individuality. Inner wholeness is the foundation upon which sovereignty rests, for only when one is rooted in their completeness can they truly exercise authority over their own life. Expertise grows when one recognizes their intrinsic value. Growth is the only specialty in the world that the pursuit of wholeness begins with self-acceptance. Many people go through life feeling incomplete, as though something is missing or broken within them. They search outwardly for solutions, seeking fulfillment in others or external circumstances. Yet this external search often leads to disappointment because it overlooks the truth that wholeness comes from within. To accept oneself fully, flaws and all, is an act of courage and self-compassion. It is a recognition that imperfection does not diminish worth, and that growth is a natural part of the human experience. Inner sovereignty, on the other hand, is the ability to govern oneself with wisdom and integrity. It is the recognition that, while life may present challenges and external pressures, the ultimate power over one's thoughts, actions, and emotions lies within. Sovereignty is not about control in the sense of domination. It is about autonomy and self-mastery. It is the realization that no one else can define your worth or dictate your choices unless you allow them to. Sovereignty is an act of reclaiming power not from others but from the illusions and fears that often govern our lives. The connection between inner wholeness and sovereignty is profound. When one feels whole, they are less likely to seek validation or approval from others. They are not driven by the need to fill a perceived void, but instead act from a place of strength and clarity. This strength allows them to establish boundaries, to say no when necessary, and to prioritize their well-being without guilt. A sovereign individual is not swayed by the opinions or expectations of others because they are anchored in their own truth. They recognize that their value is inherent and not contingent upon external validation. To cultivate inner wholeness, one must engage in self-discovery. This involves exploring one's values, beliefs, and desires, as well as confronting fears and insecurities. It is a process of peeling back the layers of conditioning and societal expectations to reveal the authentic self beneath. This process can be uncomfortable, as it often requires facing truths that have been buried or ignored. However, it is through this discomfort that growth occurs. By confronting and embracing all aspects of oneself, including the parts that feel vulnerable or unworthy, one can begin to heal and integrate into a state of wholeness. Sovereignty, too, is a practice that requires awareness and intention. It is about taking responsibility for one's life and choices, rather than blaming circumstances or others. A sovereign individual is not immune to challenges or emotions, but they approach them with resilience and perspective. They do not allow fear or doubt to dictate their actions, nor do they seek to escape discomfort through distractions or avoidance. Instead, they face life's difficulties head-on, knowing that each challenge is an opportunity for growth. This strength does not come from a place of rigidity, but from a deep sense of trust in oneself. It is the confidence that, no matter what arises, one has the inner resources to navigate it. Wholeness and sovereignty also influence the way one interacts with others. A person who feels complete within themselves does not seek relationships out of need or dependency, but rather from a desire for connection and mutual growth. They do not look to others to complete them or to provide what they feel they lack. Instead, they approach relationships as an opportunity to share their wholeness and to support the wholeness of the other. This dynamic creates a foundation of respect, trust, and equality. In contrast, when one operates from a place of incompleteness, relationships can become unbalanced. There is a tendency to seek fulfillment through the other person, leading to expectations and attachments that can create tension and disappointment. Sovereignty ensures that one does not lose themselves in a relationship or compromise their values for the sake of pleasing others. It allows for healthy boundaries and the ability to walk away from situations that do not align with one's truth. Inner wholeness also fosters a sense of contentment and gratitude. When one recognizes their completeness, they are less likely to compare themselves to others or to feel envious of what others have. They understand that their worth is not determined by external achievements or possessions, but by their intrinsic nature. This perspective allows them to appreciate what they have and to find joy in the present moment. It shifts the focus from seeking to being, from striving to appreciating. Sovereignty, in turn, empowers one to live authentically. When one is not bound by the need for approval or the fear of judgment, they are free to express themselves fully and to pursue what truly matters to them. They do not conform to societal expectations or suppress their individuality to fit in. Instead, they honor their unique path and make choices that align with their values and aspirations. This authenticity inspires others and creates a ripple effect of empowerment and self. The journey toward inner wholeness and sovereignty is not a destination but an ongoing process. It requires continuous reflection, self-awareness, and a willingness to grow. It involves letting go of old patterns and beliefs that no longer serve and embracing new perspectives and possibilities. It is a path of self-discovery and self-mastery, one that deepens with time and experience. While the journey is personal, it is also universal. The desire to feel whole and to live authentically is something that resonates with everyone, regardless of their background or circumstances. It is a reminder that, beneath the surface differences, there is a shared humanity and a shared longing for fulfillment and freedom. This recognition creates a sense of connection and compassion, both for oneself and for others. Inner wholeness and sovereignty are not static states, but dynamic qualities that evolve as one grows and learns. They are not about perfection or the absence of challenges, but about the ability to navigate life with grace, resilience, and integrity. They are the foundation of a life well lived, a life that is both fulfilling and meaningful. They are a testament to the power of the human spirit and the potential for growth and transformation that exists within each of us. Balance in action arises when decisions are made not in haste or impulse, but with a clear and steady mind. It requires a deliberate harmony between thought and action, emotion and reason, To act with purpose means to bring a sense of intentionality to everything one does, ensuring that each choice aligns with one's principles and values. In the realm of desire, where emotions can cloud judgment and urgency can override prudence, balanced action becomes even more critical. The wise person understands that to move without purpose is to risk becoming a prisoner to momentary whims, while to act with balance is to live in alignment with a deeper truth. Balanced action begins with understanding the nature of the moment. Each choice arises within a specific context, shaped by both external circumstances and internal states. Without recognizing this, one might act based on incomplete or distorted perceptions. To act with purpose, one must pause and assess the reality of the situation. It is the act of stepping back from the immediacy of desire to gain a broader perspective. In this space, clarity emerges, and with clarity comes the ability to choose wisely. To act with purpose is to prioritize what is essential over what is fleeting. Many actions, while seemingly important in the moment, hold little significance when viewed through the lens of long-term values. The wise individual discerns between these, allowing purpose to guide their actions. They are not swayed by the urgency of a passing feeling, but instead consider whether their choice contributes to a meaningful and authentic life. This requires a deep sense of self-awareness and the ability to resist the pull of instant gratification. It is not about denying desire, but about ensuring that the fulfillment of desire aligns with one's greater sense of purpose. Balanced action also requires a recognition of the interconnectedness of all things. No action exists in isolation. Every choice creates ripples that extend beyond the immediate moment. To act with purpose is to consider these ripples, to think not only of oneself but also of others who may be affected. It is to understand that every action carries a responsibility, and this responsibility cannot be ignored. The wise person does not act selfishly, but with an awareness of their role within a larger web of relationships and consequences. In doing so, they ensure that their actions bring not harm, but harmony. This balance is not easily achieved, for the pull of emotion can be strong. Desire in particular can cloud judgment, making it difficult to see beyond the immediacy of the moment. Yet, balance does not require the suppression of emotion, but its integration. To act with purpose is not to deny one's feelings, but to acknowledge them and allow reason to guide them. Emotions are not the enemy. They are a natural part of the human experience. However, when they are allowed to rule unchecked, they can lead to actions that are misaligned with one's true values. The wise person allows emotion to inform their choices, but not to dictate them. The pursuit of balanced action also involves recognizing the difference between control and influence. There are many factors in life that lie beyond one's control, and to attempt to control these is both futile and exhausting. Instead, the wise individual focuses on what they can influence: their own thoughts, choices, and actions. By directing energy toward what is within their power, they act with a sense of purpose and efficacy. They do not waste time lamenting what cannot be changed, but instead channel their efforts into what can be shaped and guided. To act with purpose is to embrace the principle of moderation. Extremes, whether in indulgence or in denial, often lead to imbalance. The wise person understands that balance lies in the middle path, a path that allows for the fulfillment of desire without excess or deprivation. Moderation is not about limiting oneself, but about finding a sustainable way of being. It is about recognizing when enough is enough, and allowing this recognition to guide one's actions. Through moderation, one finds a sense of equilibrium, where neither scarcity nor excess disrupts the flow of life. Balanced action also requires a sense of humility. To act with purpose is to accept that one does not have all the answers and that mistakes are inevitable. It is to approach each decision with a willingness to learn and grow, rather than with an insistence on perfection. The wise person understands that balance is not a fixed state, but a dynamic process. It requires constant adjustment, reflection, and effort. There will be times when balance is lost, and in these moments the key is not to dwell on failure, but to return to the path of purpose with renewed clarity. Purposeful action is also grounded in authenticity. It requires one to act not according to the expectations of others, but in alignment with one's own truth. This can be difficult, for the world often imposes pressures and judgments that can lead one astray. Yet, to live authentically is to honor one's individuality and to act in a way that reflects one's deepest values. The wise person does not seek validation from external sources, but instead finds it within themselves. They act not to please others, but to remain true to their own sense of purpose. To achieve balance in action, one must also cultivate patience. Desire often demands immediate fulfillment, but the wise person understands that true satisfaction comes from thoughtful and deliberate action. Patience allows one to resist the urge to act impulsively, creating space for reflection and clarity. It is through patience that one can move beyond the surface of desire, to uncover its deeper meaning. By acting with patience, one ensures that each choice is made not in haste, but with care and intention. Finally, balanced action requires courage. To act with purpose often means making difficult choices, ones that may not be immediately gratifying or widely understood. It requires the strength to stand firm in one's values, even when faced with opposition or doubt. The wise person does not shy away from this challenge, but embraces it, knowing that true fulfillment comes not from ease, but from integrity. Through courage, they find the strength to act with purpose, even in the face of uncertainty. In every action, the wise person seeks balance and purpose, creating a life that is both meaningful and harmonious.